Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be covering the week that was in pro wrestling. Graham, not now. And that's going to include NWA Power, the third night of the Crockett Cup, AEW Dynamite, and AEW Collision. Definitely a very interesting week. Because obviously it's the Crockett Cup. Then Dynamite has a very weird show. Collision was a lot of fun too, honestly. So we'll get to that. But first we cover NWA Power, Night 3 of the Crockett Cup, as we get introduced to the Tonga Twins. I did not catch their names first go around. I do apologize. But yeah, it's the team from WOW, Women of Wrestling. And they are now here making their debut in the NWA. As we move on to our first match of the evening, we got the Tonga Twins taking on TVMA. So that's Tiffany Nieves and I forget the name of her partner. I apologize. Honestly, I was watching this this show on very, very low volume because I was also hanging out with a couple of friends watching the Met game. So I didn't want to bother people. So this match was honestly very, very quick but still pretty good. Tongans absolutely showed out. Very powerful team. But all in all, after an defeat by Nieves, your winners, and still Women's Tag Team Champions, TVMA. So next up, we see Mims, the current NWA National Champion, and he's entering a bar, Uncle Thrill's Watering Hole, which hell of a name for a saloon / bar. Goes up to a certain place. Standing there is Thrillbilly Silas Mason, saying, "Oh, welcome in. You got your boys here. I'm here to get down to business. I'm looking to be the next World Heavyweight Champion." Mims then says, "Well, you gotta wait because I'm next in line," patting the national title. Then Silas says, "There's something more. I need a singles title like the way you need things. Something dangerous is coming, and you're better than this, as you're looking at the next World Heavyweight Champion. I'm next in line, and what do I have to do to prove to you I have what it takes?" So then we get Mims versus Thrillbilly sometime in the future. They didn't say it was for the Crockett Cup, but I assume we're going to see that at some point. So we'll see. We then get a recap of EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth defeating Alex Misery and Crazy Steve in their Crockett Cup match. Then we get a promo from Pastor CeeLo, who pretty much says, "We earned that win last week. We're going to earn the win until we get all the way to the finals. You've got no idea what's coming for you next." So, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. Then we get a video recap of Daisy Kill and Talos defeating Frank and Zion in their Crockett Cup match. Then we got a Daisy Kill and Talos promo. Pretty much saying, I don't care what they call themselves. When we meet, they are falling to us. I think they're talking about BFT? Possibly? I'm not sure. Anyway, we move on into the night as we get our first second round match in the Crockett Cup as the Slime Balls, who won a Battle Royal and then beat BFT, take on the Immortals, who are honestly one of my favorite tag teams in the NWA. And of course, the Immortals pretty much just start decimating Chance for a while. Then we get a cut to commercial, where then we have the recap of the NWA TV title match from a few weeks ago. Then we see Carson Drake talking to Joe Kazana, with Drake saying, I don't care what it takes, it's my title, I never lost it, he cheated. So Joe replies, here's what I'm going to do. You can have that match next week, because what I say goes. So that was a very, very weird cut. I'm kind of hoping they space these out a little bit better, because I have no idea what they're doing, why they're doing this in the middle of a match. Anyway, so a little bit more back and forth between the Immortals and the Slime Balls, including Big O Tommy Rant getting in, although he does get his butt kicked a little. Near the end, we get a pounce from Odin's son, a big old knee from Kratos, and an aided Asgardian uppercut for the win for the Immortals. So, yeah, that was a very, very fun match. I do wish it didn't get interrupted by that weird promo. Anyway, then we get a recap of the 2024 Crockett Cup Finals with the Southern Six winning. We then get a little hype video from the Southern Six, being Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton. No sign of Thrillbilly, although we'll see him a little later. Then we get the Joe Kazana promo from last week of him complaining about his former protege. So then we see a couple of the territory owners. They're in Uncle Thrill's watering hole. They're all taking sips of drink. Maybe packing a few peanuts in. And then one of them says, I can't believe you'd talk bad about Joe Kazana. He would never do stuff like this. Then Kenzie's like, yeah, he absolutely would. And I'm going to prove it to you. So, we'll see where that goes. Then we got an EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth hype-up video, which I think it was the same one from a few weeks ago. And we get an interview from the Southern Six. They're in the ring. They got the Thrillbilly with them. So they got some muscle. So anyway, I think Kerry pretty much takes this, saying, we got this tonight. We're going to roll through the cup and successfully defend it this year. And to the rest of the Crockett Cup, I'm putting, this is actually Thrillbilly now, saying, I'm putting everyone in the locker room on notice, and Tom Latimer, I've got my eyes on you. So, yeah, Thrillbilly getting back into the world title picture. I am all about that. Then we got our main event of the evening. We got EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth taking on Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor of the Southern Six. And actually, the Six jump EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth at the bell. dumping Pretty Boy Smooth out of the ring and just destroying EC3. Eventually, the match does start with Taylor and EC3 starting the match off. Almost immediately tagging Kerry in. And just some quick tags in and out by the Southern Six. Eventually, Pretty Boy Smooth does get in. He does run the gauntlet. And then we get another cut to commercial. But before that, we get a Wrecking Ball Legursky promo saying, Jay, we were like brothers, but at the Crockett Cup, I'm going to beat you down like a... But before he can finish, Jay Bradley jumps Wrecking Ball from behind. He has his chain and just starts beating him down. He then sees the camera, kind of intimidates them a little bit, and walks off. NWA, I'm going to ask you this one more time. Stop doing this with ads. It's annoying and it really messes up the flow of the show. Although I do like this situation because honestly, it's been a really interesting rivalry. Anyway, back to the match. We get the usual Southern Six shenanigans, although Thrillbilly has been on commentary for this match, which is very, very interesting. Eventually, Pretty Boy Smooth does get back in. Big old shoulder tackles. Goes for the double choke slam. But the Southern Six block it. The Six with a combination big splash. Big boot. Into a battering ram. Into a body slam. Into a leg drop. For a 2. But then Pretty Boy Smooth with a DDT. Couple of kicks. A Death Valley driver. Couple of strikes. Tags in EC3. Locks it in. Hits the 1%er to pick up the win. So, yeah, we'll see if EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth can go all the way in the tournament. But, yeah, that was a very fun main event. Then we get a little video preview of next week's Power, which looks pretty darn good. So, yeah, overall Power was very, very good. I will demote points for the 2 interrupting promos leading to commercials, because those definitely messed with the flow of the show. So that was Power. We now move to AEW Dynamite. I'm going to try to get through this as fast as possible. We're starting off with an MJF Hangman Adam Page face-off, where at first MJF is taunting at Hangman, saying, "You've known me for a long time. I've known you at your most vulnerable, and when you're angry, I'm going to make you so angry you're going to lose that title in your first defense." Hangman then gets nose to nose with MJF, says, "You don't understand what I had to go through to regain this. And do you know how Seabiscuit's story ends? He wins, dumbass." The past couple weeks, MJF has been calling Hangman Page Seabiscuit, calling him a horse's name, which is interesting. Hangman continues, "And you're out here talking like you've got it. You already have a shot at my title. Well, you don't. You either have to earn it, or you have to cash in your shot. But you're not going to do either. All you're going to do is turn around and walk home knowing you don't have the stomach to challenge me. So it looks like MJF is dropping the microphone, walking out, gets back in, and he says, I don't have the stomach. I'm the devil, right? Good and bad is a matter of perspective. I'm not the problem. You are. They treat you like you're some kind of perfect being, like you're some kind of god. Well, screw you. I've learned the hard way God cannot be all good, and I'm going to show the world you're a fraud, and that you're nothing but a weak-minded, depressed little boy. And I'd rather be the devil than a false idol, which, great line. So Hangman picks up his microphone again, says, unlike you, at least I'm real. And I have a point to prove. I'm going to pull off the sheepskin. Oh, this is actually MJF still. Take their God and crucify him. So now this is Hangman who says, I understand the point you're trying to make. I know my faults better than anyone else here. You talk about Forbidden Door like you have a match, but you don't. You have your contract, but you won't take your shot because you're afraid. Well, take this from me. Take this shot. AEW is about going all in. Do it! Be more than what we think you are. An insecure, gutless coward. And MJF snaps. And he says, at Forbidden Door, I execute my contract. And as he says it, you hear the crowd cheer. Then as soon as that moment passes, you see the look of dread on MJF's face. So Hangman walks a little bit up to MJF's face, says, see you at Forbidden Door, dumbass. Drops the microphone and walks off. That was so dang good. Oh my god, the chemistry between these two is awesome. And that was a great hype up for Forbidden Door. Especially the main event. Like, that main event is going to be awesome. Then we get a video recap of Speedball Mike Bailey versus Jon Moxley from last week. Then we got to Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir outside the arena. Mox notices the camera, says, Darby, whatever you think is happening at Forbidden Door, it's not happening, and walks off to their entrance. Which, honestly, that's a great low transition. I think more promotions should be doing stuff like this. Instead of maybe doing full, in-depth interviews. Have them doing little stuff like that. I think it really adds to the show. And speaking of adding to the show, we got Jon Moxley taking on Kevin Knight. And oh boy, these two have some great chemistry. Like, you got Kevin Knight, he's a little bit smaller, but he uses his speed really well. And then Moxley taking every corner he can, including involving Yuta and Shafir. And they go back and forth, back and forth. At one point near the end, we see Mox trying to hit the Death Rider. That gets blocked into a DDT. Kevin Knight goes up for the UFO splash. Looks like he hits it. Moxley gets his knees up. Then Mox locks in a kind of sleeper hold. Then whips out the Gator Roll. Hits like a kind of Juji Katami. Which is very, very interesting for the submission win. And then at first, Mox doesn't let go of the hold. It looks like he's about to rip his arm off. But then Speedball Mike Bailey comes in, breaks it up. Looks like the Death Riders are going to go back the way they came. Instead, they all get in the ring and they just destroy Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. Then who comes out? It's Darby Allin. Finally, proper entrance. He's dragging a body bag behind him and holding a skateboard. Pretty much backdrops Wheeler Yuta on the stage. Hits a skateboard shot to Shafir. And then a couple big stomps to Yuta again. Darby then stuffs Yuta in the body bag. He goes up, looks like he's about to hit the coffin drop. Claudio Castagnoli then dumps him off the top rope. Lets Yuta out of the body bag. And the two of them just destroy Darby. Actually, before that, Claudio then stuffs Darby in the body bag. Picks him up on his shoulders. Airplane spins him in the body bag. Then hits a slam. Yuta then gets a chair. They place the chair around Darby's neck, I guess with another chair. Claudio is about to hit him. Before that happens, out comes Will Ospreay from out of freaking nowhere. No music or nothing. Pulls Claudio out of the ring and they just start brawling. Death Riders head to the back. And that's when Ospreay grabs a microphone, says, "Hey, Mox, you and your boys tried to snap my neck. Well, I'm going to snap yours. You don't take Darby up at Forbidden Door? Fine, I got a better idea. How about you gather your buddies, I'll gather mine, and we have a lights-out steel cage match." Now, I'm going to tell you what this means. Basically, it's going to be War Games. It's not going to be sanctioned by AEW, so the win and losses don't really count. And they're going to get all the weapons. And, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. I am so surprised Will Ospreay came back so soon, especially with his neck issues. And now he's going to be in a steel cage match. Oi, this is, Mr. Ospreay, I hope you know what you're doing, because I just want to see you healthy, man. So next up, this weird little six-person tag. We got Mercedes Moné teaming up with Thekla and Sky Blue to take on Queen Aminata, Alex Windsor, and Willow Nightingale. Right before the bell rings, timeless Toni Storm music hits. She's up in the bleachers, up in the crowd, which is definitely so cool. Then Athena's music hits. She's on the opposite end of the arena, posing with her title. And then bell rings, we get right into it. And honestly, these are some of the best women AEW have. This was a great showcase for absolutely everybody, including Moné being kind of hesitant to take on Windsor right now. Again, they go back and forth. And after a spinebuster, Windsor locks in the sharpshooter. For your winners, Willow Nightingale, Queen Aminata, and Alex Windsor. At that point, we cut to the crowd. Toni Storm and Athena find each other. They're just fighting. They brawl down to the ring. Then Julia Hart, Thekla, and Sky Blue brawl with Queen Aminata and Willow Nightingale. They go to the back. Athena and Moné then brawl to the ring, which is very weird. Then Windsor and Toni Storm fight them off. Toni Storm gets on the microphone, says, "Athena, Moné, you take the high road, we'll take the low road. We'll do this in Scotland, So take out your tits and let's tango. And then Tony Storm and Alex Windsor end up dancing in the ring and a little bit on the stage, which is honestly really funny. Yeah, I can't believe we're getting that tag match next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm surprised so soon before Forbidden Door. And actually, speaking of Forbidden Door, we get a little Will Ospreay interview in the back. With Ospreay revealing, well, I made this match without getting Tony Khan's blessing. But he loves the idea. And I know there's plenty of people saying this is not Forbidden Door enough. So I called up my old boss and I say to him, hey, feel like coming and being in a cage match? And he says, I got you. So at Forbidden Door, it's going to be me, it's going to be Darby Allin, along with 2 other to be revealed, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Which is, I'll talk about that in a second. So Will Ospreay says, alright, fine. You mind telling your husband, interviewer is Renee Paquette, she's married to Moxley. So another little moment that really works. Ospreay continues, and tell him I want to chat next week. So we're going to have a little promo off. So that's going to be interesting. I can't believe we're getting Tanahashi in this. He's having his own retirement tour. I was wondering who was going to be in that cage match. But don't worry. The other 2 are just as big. Trust me. Just give it a minute. Anyway, so we get our next match as it's Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Edge, taking on Stokely Hathaway. And if FTR get involved in the match, the restraining order on Copeland is thereby lifted. So, Copeland makes his entrance, FTR music hits, Stokely doesn't come out right away. Instead, he's being carried out by security. Like 1 dude on each arm. They put him down ringside. It looks like he's a little hesitant to get in the ring. Eventually he does. Bell rings. Copeland then hits a spear onto Copeland's knee. But it clearly doesn't work. Stokely goes for a proper spear this time. Copeland bounces off. Then Stoke gets up. Copeland extends his fist. They have a little fist bump. And Cope just starts beating the heck out of him. Stokely then rolls out of the ring. They fight in the crowd for a little bit. Then we see Copeland interviewing some people in the crowd, which was honestly really, really funny. Copeland then drags Stokely back into the ring. At that point, FTR has come out. They're distracting Copeland. Copeland then opens the ring ropes, inviting them in. FTR's like, we can't do anything right now. We can't. Before FTR comes out, Copeland hits a spear. FTR then stays on the stage. Copeland hits another spear. He gets back on the microphone and says, so you're just going to leave him here? Hey, crowd, should I pin him? Crowd starts saying, no, no, no. Copeland then goes back saying, sorry, Stoke, they don't care about you at all. At that point, FTR get in the ring. Copeland fights them off after a little while. At that point, it's just Cope and Stokely. Cope is going for a spear, but it gets intercepted by Stokely, who throws powder into Copeland's face. So the match gets thrown out. FTR and Stoke then just destroy Copeland for a little while. FTR then have Copeland in for the aided pile driver. When whose music hits, it's Christian Cage. He comes out. He has Spike, which is Copeland's weapon with barbed wire board with nails in it. Then right behind him is Nick Wayne with a chair. Wayne goes to attack Cage, but Cage fights him off. Copeland then with a spear to Kip Sabian, who I didn't even see coming. Then we see Cage and Copeland back to back. They bump one another. They turn around. It looks like they're about to brawl. Then Cage lays Spike the long way. Hands it over to Cope. Cage looks to leave. Cope puts a hand on Cage's shoulder. Turns him around. Gives him a big old hug. And, that's how that segment ended. Honestly, I'm going to say this. This might piss a couple people off. I think this should have been the main event. Like, I feel like this should have been the show closing for Dynamite. Anyway, we go to our next match, which is an 8-man tag. So we got the Young Bucks, who at least at the start get their new music. Actually, they don't get music. They get a little pyro. And then we hear someone on the, I guess it's someone backstage saying, yeah, there's no music for the Bucks. Bucks made, before that, we get a little vignette for the return of Hook, which is very interesting. Anyway, rest of the match, we got Kyle Fletcher and Josh Alexander teaming with the Bucks to take on Brody King, Hologram, Tomohiro Ishii, and a mystery partner who turns out to be the ticking time bomb himself, Hiroshi Takahashi. And honestly, that's a great big surprise. I love Forbidden Door season, man. It's the best. So, yeah, this was a bit of a cluster, but it was so much fun. Like, everyone got a chance to showcase themselves. Hologram standing in the ring with the Young Bucks. I have been wanting to see that forever. So now we got it. Then we get in the ring. Josh Alexander tries for the C4 spike. That gets blocked. Big old kick. And then Takahashi hits the time bomb, I think his finisher name is, to pick up the win for his team. That was a great return for Takahashi. And then right after the match, it's announced Takahashi will be Kyle Fletcher's Forbidden Door opponent for Forbidden Door, which is awesome. So next up, we got a Swerve Strickland interview. This is out on the stage, which is very interesting. So we hear him say, listen, we are tough people. I'm not letting this, pointing to his leg, stand in my way of me getting my hands on Okada. And don't think they want me to slow down either. At that point, that brings out Okada, our unified champion. They have a little stare down. Okada picks up his own mic, says, Swerve, with that knee, you've got no chance. Might as well give up now. And then Swerve just says, whose house? Entire crowd answers him with a Swerve's house. Then Okada's like, okay, bitch. And then Swerve just pushes Okada over. Security comes out and holds them back. So I think we're going to get a big brawl spot next week to really hype up this. So next up, we get a try of a Jon Moxley interview, this time with MJF's former squeeze. I forget her name. I apologize. So Moxley says to her, Tanahashi? They got Tanahashi? The ace? Well, back off. So Death Riders walk up to this, like, it looks like a janitor's closet. They open, and on it says extras on it. They open the door. There's like maybe 3 dudes from previous squash matches, I guess. And then we turn the corner. We see the Young Bucks in there. So Mox is like, hey, clear out. So the extras clear out. Mox goes into the room, closes the door behind him. The Death Riders stand guard on the outside. So we'll get to that in a minute. As we have made official for Forbidden Door, we've got Adam Copeland and Christian Cage teaming up for the first time in since 2011 to take on Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian, which I find to be a little interesting because I thought this was going to be against FTR, but I guess we're going to be building to that. Maybe that'll be at All Out, which is kind of the first big, WWE versus AEW head-to-head. Because now they got a pay-per-view scheduled for that. And speaking of made official, we got in the Lights Out Steel Cage match, we got Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks. So that's 4. I think Yuta's in there as well. Taking on Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Tanahashi, and Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega, the Golden Lovers, back together in one ring again. Yes, freaking please. And honestly, that graphic was a big surprise. I did not see that coming. Bravo AEW. That match is going to be nuts. And then we go to our main event of the evening. Originally, I thought this was just going to be a normal 6-man. Apparently, it's for the trios titles. As we got the Ops, that being Samoa Joe, back from his filming of the 2nd season of Twisted Metal, Powerhouse Hobbs and Katsuyori Shibata taking on Rush, Dralistico, and the Beast Mortis of LFI. And Hobbs and Mortis start us off. We get an immediate meat chance as they just batter each other. Dralistico tags in. He attempts a crossbody. Gets caught by Hobbs, who just hits a big old fallaway slam. Tags Joe in. Joe just starts beating the hell out of poor Dralistico. Tags in Shibata, who hits a big old boot. And then a few knee tremblers, which, that's interesting. Mortis gets tagged in, hits a knee drop for a 1 count. Tags in Roche, with a clothesline, couple of stomps. Looked like he was going to go for the bullhorns, but he stopped short. Hits a couple of kicks. Then back and forth on chops and elbows. And then Shibata with an STO. Hobbs and Morrison again. They just batter each other with clotheslines. Hobbs with a big old spine buster for a 2 count. Then Dralistico and Joe tag back in. Joe with a massive hip attack. Try. Misses. Dralistico attempts a crossbody. That gets caught. Then Joe locks in a very odd coquina clutch for the victory for the Ops as they keep their trios tag team titles. So, very fun main event, although Joe was definitely very limited as he's dealing with some kind of injury. I hope he heals up very soon. But then we see Hangman Adam Page. He's in the garage. He's got his bag with him. Looks like we're about to have a last-minute interview with Renee Paquette. But before Hangman can say absolutely anything, MJF attacks Hangman from behind, rams his head into a bunch of hoods of some cars, and as Hangman is laying there, laid out, MJF gets in his face, says, "You remember when I said I was going to break you? You ain't seen nothing yet." Oh, master of the mind games, Mr. MJF. I'm so happy. Oh, this feud has been so good so far. I am at the edge of my seat for this feud. I can't wait to see what happens next. Because if MJF has something big planned, oh, you know it's going to be effed up. So, that was AEW Dynamite. A very fun show, but a very, how do I say it? A very, I don't want to say by the books show, but it definitely felt a bit formulaic, which is fine. A lot of stuff made sense, and a lot of stuff made me hyped for Forbidden Door. So that'll do it for Dynamite. We now finish with AEW Collision. I'm going to try to do this really, really quick. So we start off with a Timeless Toni Storm promo saying, "Athena, you are a history-making champion, but holy boo, you're annoying. You attack me any chance you get, and you just have so many nicknames. But if you are a goddess, I guess I must pray." So Toni gets down on her knees, says, "Milk, milk, lemonade, where fudge is made." Which, oh god, that got me good. That got me so good. So then, Toni says, honestly, she talks way too quick. I didn't quite catch what she was saying. But before she can finish up, Athena attacks Toni Storm on the stage. Billy Starks comes out and joins in. Then Athena grabs the mic while Billy Starks gets Toni in the ring. With Athena saying, "You want to pray tonight? Pray I don't expose you for the fraud you are. Because without your character, without your black and white lighting, without them, you're nothing. And if AEW is where the best wrestle, why is she on top of the women's division? Toni, your days as champion are numbered, and I become the women's AEW Forever World Champion." And before Billy Starks can do anything, Mina Shirakawa's music hits. Haven't seen her for a while. She has a little stare down with Athena. Billy has Toni in either it was a powerbomb position or a pile driver position. But Toni ends up getting out of that, taking Billy out. So Athena is trapped between Mina and Toni. So Athena's like, hey, let's calm down. We're consenting adults, right? So it looks like Mina's about to force her in the ring with Tony. Athena then just dives off the stage into security's arms, and she runs off. As we see Tony and Mina share a few kisses and a embrace. Which, glad to see Mina Shirakawa back. I believe she is challenging Athena for the Women's Ring of Honor title at Death Before Dishonor, which I believe is before Forbidden Door. So, that's going to be a fun one. We then get a video recap of the MJF Hangman Adam Page face-to-face to open Dynamite this week, which was awesome. We then get a little Forbidden Door card rundown before we go into our next matchup, a little tag team action, as we got the Death Riders, so that's Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, taking on Jet Speed, that's Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, who are legit turning into one of my favorite tag teams. And honestly, Jet Speed, if you ever need a third, I'm your guy. Not in the ring, I'll manage you. So yeah, this was a very, very fun, before the bell even rings, Jet Speed dive outside the ring, take out the Death Riders, get them back in where Yuta and Bailey start, and they just start beating the heck out of each other. Like, you can tell just by these actions that these two teams do not like each other. One point we see Kevin Knight lock in the camo clutch, which is very weird. But then Bailey with a big old drop kick, little double team action. Yuta and then whenever Yuta tags in, he gets all the boos, which is hilarious. Locks in the hammer and anvil elbow. Eventually Bailey tags in. It's a couple of kicks and a shooting star for a 2. Moxley with a big old backbreaker a little later on. Tags in Yuta, who just starts biting Yuta's arm, which is very strange. Kevin Knight with a big old frog splash for a 2. Goes for a DDT that gets blocked into a big old eye rake. Knight counters with some strikes and then a big old drop kick. Mox and Bailey then tag in. Bailey with a big boot, some chops, big old clothesline. But Moxley whips out the cutter for a 2 count. Tags in Yuta, who attempts a suplex. That gets blocked. Bailey with a crossbody, but Yuta rolls him up for a 2 count. Yuta with a penalty kick into a knee drop for a 2 count. Speedball with a couple of kicks into a moonsault for a 2. Tags in Knight, whiffs on the UFO splash. Yuta attempts a dropkick. He completely whiffs. Knight with a wraparound super kick into a roll-up for a 2. And as Knight is going for the tag, Shafir rips Bailey off of the ring apron, tosses him into the ring steps. And then Moxley just starts beating down Mike Bailey. He goes for the Death Rider. That gets blocked. Knight with a dropkick to the outside. And then Bailey with a tornado kick on the outside. Kevin Knight with a UFO kick. But before the ref can get down there, Marina Shafir grabs the ref, drags him to the outside. Ref gets back in, only a 2 count. Mox with a Death Rider, a low blow, and then a roll up for your winners, the Death Riders. So, yeah, that was a fun little cluster match. Should be interesting to see where the Death Riders go from here. Then we get a hype video for later on tonight's main event, hyped up as the Technical Spectacle. Which, great name for that. It's a number one contenders match for the IWGP World title. We then get like an Outrunners music video. At that point, I had to mute the TV because someone I was hanging out with had to make a call. But next up, we got a very interesting matchup as Ricochet takes on the debuting Ace Austin. And he's inevitable. If you don't know who Ace Austin is, former X Division champion, former tag team champion with Chris Bay in TNA, and all around just underrated talent who I thought was going to go to the WWE, but now he's all elite. And honestly, he stood toe to toe with Ricochet. Like, this was a great match. And it looked like Ace Austin had the win until Ricochet's boys came out. That's not Tangaloa. Toa Leona and Bishop Khan. They come out. They get involved in the match a little bit while the ref was distracted. Ricochet with a superplex into a brainbuster into a shooting star for only a 2 count. Ricochet looks to hit the recoil. That gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Ricochet attempts the 450. Ace gets his knees up. Ace with a Rana off the top rope. And then a big old clothesline over the top rope. Big old dive that takes out Ricochet, Bishop Khan, but not Toa Leona, who moves. So Ace gets Ricochet back in the ring. Toa grabs Ace, is about to toss him into the ring post. Ace counters it, throws him into the ring post. Ace gets back in, attempts a roll-up for a 2. Bishop Khan then gets on the apron, staring daggers into Ace Austin. Ricochet goes for an attack, misses Ace, hits Bishop, which is very, very interesting. Ace with a roll-up for a 2 count. Then Ricochet with a big clothesline, sets it up in the corner, hits the Spirit Gun for the win. Post-match, Gates of Agony get in, hits the Open the Gates on Ace post-match. That was a great introduction for Ace Austin. Another underrated signing by AEW. So, we'll see where Mr. Austin goes in the near future. So next, we go backstage for an interview with the Hurt Syndicate, with MVP taking the lead, saying, these are 2 very fine tag teams in the finals, but do we look like we care who wins? Either way, we're going to do our job, and we're going to hurt them. So then the interviewer, who I think is Renee, could be MJF's significant other, talking about the MJF drama. MVP says, drama? There's no drama there. We've been better than we've ever been. And it's going to stay that way as they all walk off together. I am very interested to see who AEW has beating them. I'm not saying it should be anytime soon, but yeah. So a little later on, in another part of the arena, we get an interview with Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Although this is after the entrances of Blake Christian and Lee Moriarty, who are their opponents. With Kyle saying, look, with Roderick looking off screen saying, these guys. As we see Ishii and Hologram walk up. And then Kyle saying, look, I I have had my fun with the Paragon, but these guys are my homies. I need to back them. Tonight, we're going to get back to our winning ways. And then Roderick says, Fletcher, until I get my hands on you, I'll take out everyone in your family. So then Strong leaves. Kyle O'Reilly sticks around, kind of hypes up Hologram and Ishii, saying, look, we're going to hit the town later on after this win. We're going to paint the town red. So that's definitely going to be interesting as we see our next match. Little tag team action as we see Blake Christian and Big Shotty Lee Johnson taking on the Paragon. So that's Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. And this match was a lot better than it had any right to be. I'm not saying these guys aren't talented, but good lord, did they throw balls to the wall. Including Roddy breaking out every backbreaker he can, an angle slam. Then after a knee and a high-low, your winners, the Paragon. A bit of a shorter match than I would like to see, but that match was a whole lot of fun. Then, right after, as the Paragon are celebrating, the Conglomeration come out. Looks like they're trying to celebrate with both Kyle and Roddy. But Roddy takes one look at him and leaves the ring, goes up the ramp, while Kyle is trying to call him back down, saying, Roddy, what are you doing? We're going to celebrate. So, yeah, we'll see if this leads to the breakup of the Paragon. Should be interesting. We then cut to backstage as we see FTR standing over a Bandito who's broken, who looks like they got actually absolutely beat up, with FTR taking Bandito's mask off and claiming it as a trophy. Brody King then gets in their faces and starts to fight them off. They brawl to the ring. Brody looks like he's about to hit a cannonball, but Stokely grabs Brody's leg. Brody looks like he's about to destroy Stokely. Stokely again with a big powder to the face. FTR with the shatter machine. And yeah, FTR celebrating their dirty work with Dax putting Bandito's mask on Stokely. So yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. We then see a promo from Skyflight. So that was Top Flight. So Dante and Darius Martin. Christopher Daniels, who's their manager. Scorpio Sky and I forget the other woman who was a part of this. So the Christopher Daniel, actually it's Scorpio Sky who takes the lead, saying, Don Callis, you sent a bunch of chumps after us last week. Next week, you pick your style match. 1-on-1, 2-on-2, or 3-on-3. But next week, we are going to you up. That was actually their female... Oh, what? Layla Gray, that's her name. Saying that bit. Then you see Dante and Darius like, whoa, 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 whoa. You need to put something in that swear jar. And then Layla Gray's like, okay, guys, let's go work this out. And we see them all leave. I am more than happy to see Scorpio Sky back on my TV. Him mentoring Top Flight actually really does make sense. So I'm overall happy with this. So next up, we got a Fatal 4-Way match where the winner gets $100,000, I think it was said. So it's Julia Hart, Penelope Ford, Anna Jay, and Chris Statlander. And these ladies, whoo, great chemistry together. Awesome little matchup. Where Chris Statlander won after a ET. And then she locks in the head scissors for a submission win. Then after the match, we get Thekla and Sky Blue out to attack Statlander. Queen Aminata comes out to make the save, but the numbers are too much. Ty Mello comes out to make the save as well. Megan Bay comes out, and they have a huge brawl. Then out comes, making her return from injury, it's Harley Cameron, who runs off the heels as she's holding a spiked baton, I want to say it is. I'm not sure what that was. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. I believe, if rumors are to be true, that this is the framework for the women's tag division, which I'd be down for. So next up, we get a backstage promo from the Don Callis family, being led by Kyle Fletcher, who says, I sent out a challenge to New Japan to send them their best for Forbidden Door, so they sent Takahashi. I'm sorry, mate, but you're just a name on the long list of legends I've mopped the floor with. Takahashi, my brother, you're going to bring home the G1. And I hope you guys keep our name out your mouth. Don, good luck with what you're doing. We're going to make sure you better know we're going to make you proud. So I'm not sure what's going on with Don Callis. I haven't heard anything about an injury or anything. But, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. We then kind of got the start of a Chris Statlander interview where she's mocking the interviewer, saying, yeah, we did it. No, I did it. I did it on my own without any help. And now I'm $1,000 rich. But before she can continue, in comes Harley Cameron. Says, yeah, you did it. So what are you going to do with your money? Statlander starts to say, well, I have 2 additional. But before anything else can happen, they both fall silent, with Harley hanging on to Chris Statlander with her legs at the midsection. Camera pans. It's Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Marina Shafir. Moxley looks down, takes a look at Harley Cameron, who kind of just does a cute little wave, looks back up at Statlander, says, damn right, walks off. Yuta then walks up, says, great work out there, and then he walks off too. So are we about to see Chris Statlander join the Death Riders? Could be interesting. We'll see what happens there. But first, we go to this very interesting singles match, as we got Juice Robinson taking on Brian Keith. And honestly, this match started off a little awkwardly, but eventually they got into it. Especially after a big spinebuster by Brian Keith for a 2 count. Big Bill gets up on the apron, distracts the referee. This brings Ace Austin over, and he brawls with Big Bill. Bill tries to throw Austin into the guardrail. No, he does throw Austin into the guardrail. Big Bill then goes for a big splash, misses, and Austin kind of dumps him into the crowd. So Juice with a couple elbows, a reverse DDT for your winner, Juice Robinson. And then you can tell post-match Robinson is dealing with something. He's limping on his leg. I hope he's okay. We see Ace help Juice to the back to finish the segment. Man, I honestly hope this isn't another injury for the Bang Bang Gang, These guys just cannot catch a break, man. Hopefully it is not a long injury. And hopefully it's not super serious. Then we get a little rundown of next week's Dynamite card, which is stacked. Like, it is a big old match before the pay-per-view. We then get an Anthony Bowens interview, which this was very, very interesting. Where he says, I thought we were here to talk about me. When the Acclaim broke up, I was supposed to be the star. I gave my everything to AEW. Why is Max going to Scotland while I'm not? All he does is lose. He's a loser. And anytime I think, I cannot stop hearing that chant. And the crowd, you hear the crowd in the back start going, let's go, Max, you're the best wrestler alive. Which definitely sets Anthony Bowens off. He then turns to the camera, says, I'm sick and tired of this, and walks off. I don't know who's going to be the challenger for Max Caster for this open challenge. I kind of hope it's Simon Miller from What Culture. Shout out to my boy. But good lord, this is going to get interesting. So that leads us to our main event of Collision. And it's a number one contenders match for the IWGP World Heavyweight title at Forbidden Door. Our participants, Daniel Garcia, former TNT champion. Nigel McGuinness, who that was a big surprise seeing him on the card. Lee Moriarty, the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. And Henchazero from CMLL. And honestly, this was a technical masterpiece. They traded holds like no tomorrow. Henchazero, including getting some big blows in himself. At the end, we see Garcia locking the Dragon Tamer on Lee Moriarty. And then Nigel locking in the London Dungeon on Henchazero. With Henchazero almost immediately tapping out. So your winner going into Forbidden Door, it's Nigel McGuinness. So then we get a Nigel McGuinness interview where he says, do I feel ready? What do you think? Gets a big old pop. He continues, this is a dream match for a lot of people. Well, here in AEW, we're going to make that dream a reality. At that point, we see Daniel Garcia, who's been sitting there like a little upset toddler. He gets up. It looks like he's about to leave the ring. Nigel sees him, says, Danny, can I have a word with you? So Garcia stays in the ring. McGuinness then continues, you were this close to getting a win. Give it up for Garcia. Crowd gives him a nice round of applause. So Garcia kind of sulks off a little bit. McGuinness continues, you have heart, kid, and I've got a favor to ask you. I want you to stand in my corner and in London for Forbidden Door for my match against Zack Sabre Jr. Garcia takes a moment, looks like he's pondering it, walks right over to Nigel, shakes his hand, they have a low embrace. Garcia is 100% costing Nigel McGuinness this match. Like, Daniel he's a damn good wrestler. He's not so interesting as a babyface. So, maybe a heel turn would freshen him up a little bit. So, yeah, that is the end of This Week in Wrestling. I hope you all absolutely enjoyed. Coming at some point this week, either Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to do a little bit of a different video where I come up with a few theories for a few upcoming MCU movies. That's going to be Doomsday, maybe the new Spider-Man that's coming, and Avengers Secret Wars. It's going to be some theories I've heard online, some theories I've come up with myself. It'll be an interesting time. So until then, I hope you all have a good one, and happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.